Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum? Would you please call the roll? Present.
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 Thank you, Madam Clerk. The clerk is looking for ordinance number 1215-2025 as substitute. For some reason, it's not on our laptop, so she's in the process of trying to find it. But we will deal with the other ordinance first. Director, would you please come to the table and your team? We're going to deal with 1082-2025. And then obviously we have some issues that we are going to ask for a briefing by the director after we get through with the legislation. There's some things of great concern to the body collectively, and we'll ask for an update. Who are we missing? We missing somebody? Finance. Finance. Are you? Okay, okay. Ordinance number 1082-2025 by Council Members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request. Emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety and Finance to enter into one or more contracts with Heritage Health Solutions Incorporated for medical billing services for inmates and prisoners for the Departments of Public Safety and Finance for a period of 1 year with two one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. It was first read on September 15th. It was approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of Finance, and there's no legal objection by the Law Department. Let's see. Director, identify your team at the table. Oh.
Through the chair and council members, I'll start with myself and then
Okay.
Go to my left. And have the folks at the table introduce themselves, and then to my right, Director Drummond, Director of Public Safety.
Lisa Scafidi, the liaison between the city and the county.
Eduardo Romero, Commissioner of Risk Management, Department of Finance.
Yes, got push it till it turns green.
Green,
There
yep.
you go. Do it
Okay.
again, Ed.
Go ahead, you're fine.
Ed. Do it again.
Eduardo Romero, Commissioner of Finance, Commissioner of Risk Management, Department of Finance.
April Bucci, Administrative Manager of EMS Billing and Prisoner Care Billing.
Okay.
Christopher Violin, Assistant Director of Public Safety.
Jason Shackner, Assistant Director of Public Safety.
Okay. Law Director.
All right, sir.
Let him identify himself.
Nick Delaney, Assistant Director of Law.
Thank you. Thank you. Director.
Yes,
floor
sir.
is yours.
Yes, the ordinance number, as stated before, is 1082-2025, and it authorizes Director of Finance and myself, Director of Public Safety, to enter into one or more contracts with Heritage Health Solutions for professional services necessary for inmate prisoner medical billing services. This agreement will include the professional services for processing the medical claims and the actual costs of the approved claims. The contract term is for a period of 1 year with two one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. A request for proposal was issued by the Department of Finance and Public Safety, and we received 6 proposals. We selected a proposal made by Heritage Health Solution, Inc., as their services most closely fit our needs for these services. And I am at the table with my staff and also Department of Finance to answer any questions
Okay.
relative to this ordinance.
So, in whoever can answer in layman's terms, because obviously I want everyone to be aware that, we have the viewing public here. And so, in layman's terms, explain this. What is this? Who can do that in layman's terms?
To the chair, so this is for pre-booking prisoner medical. So when individuals are arrested and they require medical care prior to being accepted by the county jail, this is for those bills. So this is the company that would vet those bills and get us the Medicaid rate to pay those invoices to the hospitals.
Okay, so they're going to someone comes in and they have a broken leg. Okay, we're bringing them into the jail. They got a broken leg. They're going to bill the hospital. Someone's going to bill us for that work, right? Who does that?
Correct.
Prisoner's injured, take them to a hospital, correct?
Correct.
And then they're going to bill us. They're going to bill the city, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then this company is going to take that bill and apply for what? Medicaid? Tell me.
So it's the Medicare rate, but they're going to ensure that all the services are covered. And I think that April can speak to the actual services that are covered and
Okay.
how that process works.
Chairman,
Yes.
this is the medical bills, all the insurance bills, or all the service bills for hospital, doctors, lab work, anything that's
Okay.
needed will go to this Heritage company. They will act as a TPA, a third-party administrator, on the city's behalf. They will reprice them at Medicaid rate, make sure that they're valid, make sure that they meet federal standards, state standards. They're
Okay.
not overbilling us. They're not, we're paying exactly what we need to pay. Then they send us the invoice. We pay them. They pay the facility for the charges.
Okay. So what about someone who's uninsured?
That's, if we arrested them and they're in our custody, we're responsible for paying those bills.
Regardless if they're insured or uninsured?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Anybody else want to add anything to this discussion? Okay. Councilman Casey's first. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, who does this billing now for us?
Through the chair, it's done by the city.
Through the chair of the councilman, for clarification, this service is a service that was provided to the city through its past contracts with Medical Mutual as part of its employee benefits package. And we were notified that Medical Mutual would no longer be doing that at the close of last year. So we went out for a request for proposal to find a solution that would fill that gap after Medical Mutual is no longer going to be providing that service.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, to our director, assistant director, since Medical Mutual stopped doing it last year, who's been doing it from the end of last year, January, up until now for the last 10 months?
Medical Mutual has been working with our law department to assist us in continuing to do this until we were able to replace them.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, are any city employees going to lose their job? Because this seems, this reminds me of the EMS billing, where we outsourced the EMS billing, and we were told that people didn't lose their job, and maybe they didn't, but you know how that turned out.
Through the chair, no one's losing their job.
Nobody's losing their job because of this.
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, to the director, what does the city have to gain from this?
Who can answer?
The city gains the ability to make sure that we are receiving the appropriate charges for the individuals that are being treated by the doctors or the billing. There's a vetting process done by our people as well as this Heritage to make sure, again, that we're getting the proper fees, or we're paying the proper fees and services from the medical providers.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, who is that for the city, who's that watchdog person who assures that we're only paying what we need to pay, or?
Through the chair, to the councilman, I believe we have several layers. One is sitting to my left, which is Lisa Scafidi. She's been doing it for years to make sure that the bills that we receive are accurate. And then we also have April down there at the end as well. They also make sure that the bills that we receive are accurate before they're actually paid by the city of Cleveland.
All right, Mr. Chairman, to Lisa, right? You're the one who counts the prisoners' days, right? From arrest to make sure that we're not being billed inappropriately from the county for extra days of people sitting.
To the chairman, yes, that's correct.
And then do you have anything to do with the oversight of this?
So what I do with this is I ensure that that we are like the responsible law enforcement agency for this. So if it's another agency that makes the arrest, then we decline the payment. So we ensure that we're only paying for people that were physically in our custody, arrested by the Cleveland Division of Police.
And Mr. Chairman, to Lisa, do you have a title?
Jail liaison.
Generally, okay. Well, Lisa, how often does the county try to charge us for a prison, or accidentally or charges us for somebody who wasn't in our custody? How often do you catch something like that?
So are you referring to the per diem for the housing outside of the medical?
Both.
Okay, so that happens quite often, and I think it's just the way that the data entry is entered by the corrections officers or the record staff to differentiate those days, and custody is very fluid. You can be a city prisoner one day, and then that jurisdiction changes the next day, and then vice versa. You can be in county custody, and then, you post your bond with the county, and you're a city prisoner. So, I mean, the list is constantly moving, all day long. So I can't say that they try to overcharge us, but it is a very tedious process to ensure that we're only paying for those that we're responsible for.
And Mr. Chairman, to Lisa, you're confident that we have good eyes on that, and that the city's not being overcharged for anything?
I am personally confident.
Okay. All right. One last question, Mr. Chairman, to the director is, on a number of occasions, you indicated, the table has indicated that you're going to assure that we get the Medicare rate through this. Are we not receiving the Medicare rate currently, or does this assure that we're going to get the Medicare rate?
Through the chair to the councilman, it is actually the Medicaid rate, and that is the state law, that if someone's in custody, Medicaid rate has to be applied. So right now, Medical Mutual is assuring that, and Heritage will take over that when they take over.
All right, and then one last thing, Mr. Chairman, to the director. In the legislative summary, it doesn't state how much this contract is going to be for. It says 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, but how much are we going to be spending on this contract, and where's the money coming from?
Through the chair to the councilman, I don't have the specific number. We can get that to you, but it is similar to a requirements contract, which we're estimating what the prisoner costs will be for next year. And so the contract will be for an amount up to and not to exceed. Unfortunately, I don't have that number for you currently.
Because it's not embodied in the legislation either.
Nor is it in what says, for some reason, a council summary. It's not the executive summary. I've never seen a council summary before, let alone one that's written like this. So, Mr. Chairman, if they could get us the amount of the contract and a not to exceed, so that at least by finance, we can be assured that we're not turning around and spending $9 million on a contract that's only going to bring us in $200,000.
Absolutely. To the chair, we'll make sure you get that information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Because again, if I can tell you right now, if that's not in there, we're not going to pass it. We want to know, as Councilman Casey indicated, we want to know what the implications are with regard to how much this is going to cost. I have Councilman Slife, and then I have Councilman Starr.
Thank you. And there's a couple moving parts here, so I wanted to just make sure I understand. Individuals arrested, pre-booking medical is. First question should be, if we were to not pass this legislation, we would essentially be eating the cost of medical provided, because I would assume the city's legally obligated to provide this, right? So if we're not seeking to get reimbursed from Medicaid, then we're just out that money. Is that correct?
To the chair, yes, that is correct.
So pre-booking, it was said that this is for pre-booking. Once someone is booked, if they are a city prisoner, is there any medical while they are in the custody of the city of Cleveland? Is that reimbursed through here also, or is that done differently?
Once they're accepted by the county, we're no longer responsible. They are, once county accepts them at booking, no matter what medical care they get at that point, it is the responsibility of the county. That's part of the per diem.
That's part of the per diem, even if they are being charged in municipal court for misdemeanors. They're still the county's per diem covers their medical costs.
That is correct.
Okay.
Once they're physically accepted, we are no longer responsible.
Okay. How does this align with once a prisoner is accepted by the county and maybe needs to be transported to Metro? How are we ensuring that that would then fall to EMS billing? Is that correct? Of how are we making sure that we are not also subsidizing medical services that need to be provided by the county, that our per diem is being used and that our services are being paid for?
Their transport from the county to the whatever medical facility it may be, that's also part of the per diem. I'll have to check on the medical EMS portion of it for you, but I know that the care is all part of the per diem as well. But I'll check on the actual EMS portion, unless April can answer that particular question.
Through the chair to the councilman, we currently write them off to, oh no, I'm sorry, you're talking about if they're in county custody.
Correct.
They get billed to the county and the county pays us Medicaid rate.
Okay.
For the transport.
For the transport for EMS, yes.
There's sort of two aspects to it. One, I want to make sure that we're being paid for the transport. Two, I have heard anecdotally that perhaps medical services that could be provided at the facility are not being provided at the facility, and instead individuals are being transported off-site. Even if we're being reimbursed for that cost, I do worry that it ties up city EMS for unnecessarily when given the number of runs EMS has and the demand for those services. I suppose there's not a specific question to form the concern, but is it possible to at least get the raw number of EMS runs from the jail to Metro, or I guess wherever? And if you have a suggestion for how we could sort of analyze those to determine whether or not we feel that transport was justifiable given the services that we are paying for through our per diem and that are available at the county jail, I would like to suss that out if possible. I know that's a bit beyond this legislation, but I think all these things sort of tie in together. My final set of questions, if this had been provided by Medical Mutual historically, where was that cost within the budget? Was it, if it was Medical Mutual, was it tied into sort of our larger insurance contract? And is this going to be something new in the budget like in contracts within the Division of Correction or something? Like, where is this going to appear?
At the Department of Corrections, or Division of Corrections.
So
Yeah.
we can anticipate an increase in the Division of Corrections budget because of this? And I'm not, like, one could think it's cost neutral. It's just appearing in a different place in the budget, essentially. That's what I'm trying to kind of understand.
I'm sorry.
Whoever can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Through the chair to the councilman, this specific budget item has always been within the corrections budget underneath public safety, even when it was handled by Medical Mutual. So the budget line item is going to remain exactly the same.
Okay, and thank you for clarification on the location. My final question is, will it remain exactly the same? Is there a difference between what we are currently paying Medical Mutual and what, Heritage Solutions has proposed they're able to provide the service at?
In our assessment, and please correct me if I'm wrong down at the finance table, it appears to us as if the cost will be less than what Medical Mutual was assessing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. But Councilman brings up a valid point. So I want to get this clarified for all of us. So if a prisoner from the county jail needs to be transported for medical, I'm assuming they're going to take them to Metro, correct?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay. And they're going to utilize a city EMS unit for that?
Yes.
To the chair, yes.
But they don't have their own, they don't have a standalone transport unit.
To the chair, they do have a med transport, but they also call EMS to transport their prisoners as well.
Okay. So that's a good question that Councilman Slife asked about how many times they're utilizing EMS to make that trip. Because I would think if there's frequent trips, I would think that from a standpoint of being cost effective, I would think they would have their own transport unit or a unit just to transport prisoners.
To the chair, they do, and I was just told by Assistant Director of Island, but not only just transporting Cleveland prisoners, just non-Cleveland prisoners as well that EMS
Right.
is transporting.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Starr.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be real brief with this ordinance. I know we looked at it a couple times, and now we're back here with 1082. But my question would definitely be, what is the background, or what is actually Heritage Health Solutions? What are they, through the chair? Can anyone speak to who this company actually is?
Yes, tell us who they are and where they're located, if you know that.
Through the chairs to the councilman, they provide medical, one of the things that we really liked about them is Columbus PD is comparable to Cleveland PD, and they provide the same services to Columbus PD because they kind of mirror our operation. There is more information on them, but that was one of the specific things that stood out to us. So this is what they do.
Do you know where they're located at?
Through the chair, we'll get that information.
Okay.
We believe Texas, but we want to make sure we
Thank
get
you.
the accurate information.
Thank you. Councilman Starr?
Yes, and through this process of selecting Heritage Health Solutions, did we have a proposal put out or anything like that? How did we get here to be able to select Heritage Health Solution that might be based out of Texas?
Whoever can answer that.
There was an RFP that went out, a request for a proposal. There were 6 vendors, and Heritage was selected out of the 6.
All right, can I make a request through the chair to our staff?
Yes.
Could we get a copy of all of the responses to the RFP that you sent out, including the questions, answers that they did for the RFP? Just trying to get an understanding of what they do, how it will
Thank
be
you.
beneficial to the community, and why this makes sense. In addition, I know we talk about within this council summary, it says they're going to be able to provide medical billing services for inmates and prisoners, and they talking about professional services. What is professional services for medical billing? What is that actually, through the chair?
Whoever can answer that.
Through the chair of the councilman, the service that Heritage provides is facilitating the billing from the medical facility to the city. Heritage is the billing process that the medical facilities have to go through to get reimbursement from the city. So they provide all of the liaison and information and vetting and ensuring that the correct rates and the correct medical billing codes are all utilized. That's the professional service that Heritage provides to the city.
So they make sure all the billing and the codes are all in line of what the government expects when you're dealing with medical billing, through the chair?
Through the chair of the councilman, yes, sir.
All right. In relation to that, currently, we do not have this type of system in place, through the chair, correct? We do? If so, what do we currently have in place before we move forward with this? Currently, right now, what type of system is set up for this type of work?
Through the chair to Councilman Starr, we utilize Medical Mutual right now. And so they're providing that service. They know that this is ending. They're no longer going to provide that service. So that's why we had to go out and to do the RFP to find a company that did this. And as A.D. Violent had mentioned, they do sort through the bills to make sure that everything is not bundled and appropriate services were given and billed correctly based on the ICD-9, ICD-10 codes that these are billed under.
Okay, so now we received some information from Medical Mutual that they were no longer going to do this type of work for us. We will have to do it ourselves. So what we came up with, an opportunity to do an RFP, got that out, and we was able to select, the city was able to select Heritage Health Solution to be the ones to be able to do this work because of their experience that they've done from being based out of Texas and working in there. Okay, got that. The reason why I asked that question, because obviously a lot of that is not in here, and I definitely would like to put a request out just for general purposes. We have these council summaries or these executive summaries. The reason why we have a summary is to give us details and briefings of everything. This current summary that we got right here is just bland. I would just want to make a request that when you do a summary, give us the who, what, when, where, why, how did we get here, so we can be able to understand the reason why you went for the RFP, the reason why we have this important piece of legislation, because we don't have the opportunity to sit down every day to meet with everybody one at a time, and that could be able to be more helpful for us when we're making decisions at this table that's going to affect the residents in the city of Cleveland. So I definitely want to put that request that one stanza legislative summary is insufficient for us to make a decision on different things so that we can have that in place. In addition to this, you know, I know one of my colleagues mentioned it up earlier, but the actual contract cost. You know, so from the standpoint of us sitting here today through the chair, could anyone speak to regarding ordinance 1082 on an average individual who possibly have healthcare services? What happens when they get billed? How does this look like? How does it actually work? What is the flow? What actually takes place with us having this type of services on a given day, on a random day? Through the chair.
Whoever can answer that?
Through the chair to Councilman Starr, yes. So if we arrest someone that needs medical care before they go to the county to get booked in, we take them to the closest facility usually, unless there is a specialty need that needs to be met. So we take them to that facility, whatever care they need in the emergency room with the doctors, it's lab, x-rays, the reading of the x-rays, all of that care. When they bill it, they need to bill it to a company to vet those bills. Currently, it's Medical Mutual. Now it will be through Heritage. And then they send us a report outlining the company, like MMO or Heritage will send us a report. It outlines all the services that were rendered, and we vet custody. Lisa and I work together to vet custody. I go over all the medical bills to make sure that they're accurate, and then we send it back to them. They mail the payment to the facilities, doctors, everybody that gave care, and we pay that invoice.
Okay, so through the chair, from that process, do we have any record or data from how much it has cost us the last 3 years with this type of services that we can share with the council?
Absolutely.
So therefore, we can see what's the estimated ballpark of how much money we're going to either be spending or increasing. Through the chair, with this new services, are we going to increase the cost for this type of service that we already have? To the chair.
Yes.
Through the chair to the councilman, understand that there's a distinction that we have to make between the medical costs, which the city is 100% responsible for, regardless of who the medical billing service is. So as the chair brought as an example a bit earlier, somebody breaks a leg and the hospital charges $5,000. The city is responsible for that $5,000. The cost of this contract is the billing services that are being provided. And the billing services under the proposed contract with Heritage are $50 per claim. So the city would be paying the $5,000, which it is obligated to pay for the medical care, plus the $50 to process the claim to Heritage.
And through the chair, how many claims did we have last year?
Anyone can answer that?
To the chair, we can get that
We'll get that.
information.
Well, so based on Councilman Starr's request, we want the number of transports. We'd like it from last year,
Yeah, last year.
the number of transports, and then the cost associated with that. Thank you. Councilman?
Yep, and then also within this summary of the services that were provided through Heritage Health Solutions and with this new change, how does it work with mental health crisis or anything like that, dealing with patients or someone that is picked up and maybe have mental health illness or things that need to be rectified? How does that work from that type of services that may be needed through the chair?
Through the chair, if they're in our custody, if there's a mental crisis and they're still in our custody, then the billing is still the same.
Okay. Yep, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Chair.
That's what I mean.
So
And
a generalized
Can
question.
I clarify that,
Go
make
ahead,
sure
yes.
that when that's in our custody, if they're under arrest, because there are times we do respond to folks that are in crises, and we take them for evaluation. They're not under arrest. That's a different story. But if they're under arrest, then the billing is the same.
Okay.
All right.
So
Thank you.
then going back to one of Councilman Starr's questions, as it pertains to the council summary, who writes that up? Do we know who writes the council summary up?
Through the chair, for us, it's in my office.
Okay.
My office is responsible for that.
So again, you've heard a concern that the summaries be a little bit more detailed would be helpful. And I concur with Councilman Starr's thought on this one. This is, there is more information needed on this one, clearly. So, so who's the person who does that specific person?
It's the fiscal manager.
Okay, so please ask the fiscal manager to be more descriptive in the summaries from this point on that come before us. I think that would be very helpful, because it could cut down on the number of questions we're asking at the table as well if there's more detail. Okay, any other questions of the committee members? Any other questions? Without objection, and you've heard our concerns, you've heard our issues, so before we get this over to finance, yes, Councilwoman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Councilwoman Gray.
Just one question. You said due to they have to be under arrest in order to get the medical. Could you kind of clarify that? Because
Through the
this is
chair.
all new to me, so I just need some clarification on that. When she said they have to be under arrest in order to get the medical, I just want to.
Through the chair, yes. If, for example, if I could just kind of contextualize that, if the Division of Police receives a call or come across someone and there is probable cause to make an arrest, let's just say we'll just stick with arrest, and the person is injured or the case might be, they're in our custody under arrest, we're responsible for their medical care. Same thing if we receive a call for someone that's in mental crises, and that person, for whatever reason, is arrested. We, the City of Cleveland, are responsible for their medical care and their medical bills.
Okay, all right, thank you. And also
Thank
one
you.
last question.
Yes.
We have so many, Chair, to the Director, we have so many youth, young teenagers now getting arrested, 12, 13, 14. Are they under the city care? And if not, are they under juvenile care? You know, where they get the same,
Through the
medical care as well?
Same thing applies if they're juvenile as well. If they're arrested and they're injured, we're responsible for their medical care, at least the bills anyway.
Thank you. Okay, without objection, ordinance number 1082-2025 is approved as read. Please sign it up. Okay. Ordinance number 1215-2025 as a substitute for ordinance number 808-2025 is before us. It was, first time reading was September 29th. I'm going to read the caption by council members Harrison, Polensek, and Griffin by departmental request to supplement the codified ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976 by enacting new section 401.711 relating to the definition of underspeed vehicles and to enact new section 450.01 to 450.08 and 450.99 relating to underspeed vehicles. It first came to us on, first time reading was September 29th. It was approved by City Planning Commission, approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of Finance, and there's no legal objection. Let me see what we got in there. I see no estimated cost. Director, floor is yours.
Good morning, Chairman, and to the council members. This is Callie Mersman, Director of City Planning.
Okay.
This ordinance is a partnership between City Planning and the Department of Public Safety. As you may recall, we were here before you a couple of weeks ago with an ordinance 808 that had many amendments requested, so this is a clean version of that was reintroduced. The original ordinance was introduced in July of this year and was presented to Development Planning and Sustainability Committee and cleared through them. So we're here back with the clean version to share the proposal. This came to the mayor's office and city council a couple of years ago as a request from small businesses to operate businesses that utilize golf carts to support mobility around the city. There are a couple of different business models that we have been working with and entrepreneurs that we have been working with to create this, including pickup and drop off in districts using golf carts rather than cars, as well as tours of Cleveland neighborhoods and those amenities. We are joined today by two of those business leaders, should you wish to hear from them. This ordinance authorizes golf carts on city streets that are that have speed limits no higher than 35 miles per hour, which is all of our local streets. It gives authority to the Director of Public Safety to create rules and regulations governing the use of these golf carts. Golf carts are defined as vehicles that can go no faster than 20 miles per hour. The ordinance requires equipment on them such as brake lights, headlights, turn signals, seat belts, etc., as required under the Ohio Revised Code, and it also makes golf carts subject to all traffic laws that are state and locally required. It sets up an application process for the Bureau of Traffic in the Department of Public Safety to inspect the vehicles annually. This is required by the state. We're joined here by, of course, Director Drummond as well as Commissioner Holmes, who oversees the Bureau of Traffic that will be overseeing the inspections. So there will be annual inspections, authorization granted for the operation of golf carts. Based on those inspections, the director has the authority to restrict service areas if needed, as well as promulgate any additional rules or regulations needed to ensure safety and smooth operations. There is no cost to the city on this behalf, apart from the time to do the inspections. There is an inspection fee of $150 per vehicle written into the legislation. That's a very brief overview. Happy to answer any questions or go into more detail as the committee wishes.
So, again, to the viewing public that is watching this, we're going to permit, the city is going to, under this legislation, is going to permit the utilization and the driving on city streets of golf carts if they meet the specifications as set forth within the legislation, correct?
Chairman, that's correct. This legislation authorizes golf carts only for use of legitimate business purposes, so it does not authorize rentals to individuals for individual operations, and it also does not authorize personal golf cart use on city streets. It has to be tied to a legitimate business with a certificate of good standing filed with the Ohio Secretary of State.
Does the city have any control over the rates being charged?
The city is not involved in the rates that the businesses are charging to customers, no.
Okay. So, to the Traffic Commissioner, identify yourself for the public.
Traffic Commissioner Gordon Holmes.
Okay. So, I haven't paid attention because I think I've only been on a golf cart, I don't know, a handful of times. Are they required to have license plates?
Chair, through the chair, yes, that's a state law. When this was initially proposed
Right.
by the director, I reminded her that it's a state law that you can do it, but the city has to formulate laws and regulations
Right.
to do that. So everything is a license plate through the state of Ohio. We do the inspection to make sure that it meets what is in the ordinance, and then the business can operate.
Okay. Does the name of the business, is the name of the business required to be on the vehicle?
I don't believe in the legislation. However, they will have to have the permit, either electronic version through the phone that they can operate or on the person at all times.
Okay. I want to kick that around on the table because we know right now, like tow trucks have to have a number on them, correct? They have to be identified.
Yeah, that's through the ordinance, it's through codified ordinance.
That's exactly. So if we have golf carts, and are they going to be restricted to where they can go to whoever can answer? Are they going to be restricted where they go in the city?
Not necessarily. You can't go, obviously, on the shoreway because, certain parts are 50. However, for Browns games, we will not let them north of Lakeside. If they start interfering with traffic around special events through the legislation, we have the authority to say, hey, you cannot be here at this moment in time.
But they'll be able to go across the entire city,
Yes,
outside interstates. That's what you're telling us.
yes. Yes.
Okay, we're going to kick that around here at the table. We're going to hear some of the operators are here. The reason I raise about the identification of the vehicle, because, you know, what if we have some that are buzzing around our neighborhoods and we think aiding or abetting or causing a problem? I want to be able to identify. I want to be able to see a name on there. I want to be able to identify a vehicle or a golf cart.
All right.
So we might talk about an amendment to that issue in a short period of time. Is there anyone else at the table who would like to address this before I call upon some of the operators? And I'll get names down to my colleagues. Good. So I'm gonna start with some of the operators, and then I'm going to open it up to council questions, because I want to make sure we're not opening Pandora's box here to some other problems that are unforeseen issues. So at this point, who are operators at the table? Raise your hands. You're an operator? No. Okay, identify yourself, gentlemen, and who you're with, what company you're with.
My name is Chris Taylor. I'm with the Golf Cart Girl, CLE.
Okay.
So I represent, we want to do point A to point B driving, some tours. We started, would you like a full background, or would you like Bob to?
Well, you can identify yourself,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
Good.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Bob Polk, and name of mine is the Leisure Tours Cleveland. I've been giving tours of Cleveland since 2011 on bicycles, and basically I'm just converting and also adding golf carts. So I give tours of Ohio City, downtown, and Tremont.
Okay. So tell us how you envision this. You see the legislation. Have you been involved in the construction of legislation?
Yes.
Okay, with city planning.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you envision this?
So my model is, what I see is, and we started, and I met Commissioner Holmes a couple years ago. We started on Browns games.
Yes.
We were giving rides to Browns fans before the game, after the game, and really what we noticed was that there are no limited mobility, no handicap options for Browns fans that are tailgating to get to the stadium. It just doesn't exist. You have to walk no matter what the answer is.
Right.
So that's kind of what this started with, and it grew from there. We want to do, rides for Cavs games. We would like to do some photo tours, things like that, all around the city. The one thing is, I did hear about some street restrictions and stuff. The thing I ask about that, or the context I'd like to give of that, is that we also have several folks. We've contacted several wine bars. We're not going to serve alcohol, to be clear. There's no alcohol being served on these. But we have talked to several wine bars and bars in the area that would like to set up tailgating, pregame spots, rides. As far as West 65th, we've been contacted. So we have a big need for this. It is a big thing for me. My wife is a disabled veteran, so it's very important to me, especially on event games. The problem is when somebody's tailgating and they want to go to the game, they have to walk no matter where they're at. If they don't walk, they have to get in an Uber. They have to go out on a 55th. They have to go down 55th, come up North Marginal, right? Uber's charging $25, $30, $40, surge pricing. So what we've done is we've kind of tried to cut that out. And folks that are tailgating, we can pick them up right at their tailgate and take them as close to the stadium as legally possible. I know the commissioner has some reservations about that. Totally fine with whatever decision's made. So that's kind of where this came from. And then we've also noticed that the city is very disconnected. As much as Cleveland has a lot of entertainment districts, they're just kind of disconnected from each other. It's hard to get from Public Square to the Chandelier at Playhouse Square. It's hard to get from Playhouse Square to the Flats. So we thought this was a really cool alternative idea. Low emissions, we're all electric. So we thought this was a really cool alternative means of way of getting around downtown. It connects the different districts, and it really I think it helps the community. And it's a really great way for limited mobility and ADA-friendly folks to get around a little better, from my perspective.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, as I mentioned before, I've been giving tours since 2011, and basically mine is just an extension of that. As citizens are getting older, not everybody still wants to ride a bicycle on a tour, so I came up with the idea of doing golf cart tours. And a lot of the people that I've talked to, I've gotten good response to that. I would just like to I just feature the history of the city. We basically start in Tremont, over by where old Sokolowski's used to be, if you know where that's at.
Yes.
And so I take people all through Tremont, downtown in Ohio City, and it's basically a history tour. There's stops along the way for people that want to take pictures. And also, the same thing, we have mapped out routes are available for you guys to see if you need to see exactly where I go.
Okay.
But mine is basically those 3 communities. And then also, eventually, when there's a big event in town, Chris and I are going to help each other do things. You know, if he needs A to B transports,
Right.
or if there's multiple tours going on, we're going to work together. Just to provide entertainment for the citizens, people coming to visit Cleveland.
So, how many occupants can you have in your these units that you're going to operate?
I have 1 unit, and mine is 8-person unit. So I'm 7 persons, including the driver.
Okay.
And then if Chris doesn't mind, I know Chris has 6,
3 golf carts.
three golf carts, and his are 6 persons golf carts.
Okay, so to the administration, I can't operate the golf cart. It's got to be operated by the company, correct?
To the chair, that's correct. As part of the inspection process, the Bureau of Traffic will keep on file approved drivers and driver's licenses, et cetera, for the businesses.
Okay. Do you have any objection with the requirement that the name of your company be on the vehicle?
My name is all over my carts already, 3 different sides.
Same with me. I already have them on carts, fronts and back.
Okay. So, because clearly be identifiable who's driving what?
Absolutely.
And, okay, you're right now, you're mentioning basically the downtown near West Side area, maybe Playhouse Square. What do you envision the cost would be to transport someone from Public Square to Playhouse Square? What do you envision that cost to be?
I charge a $10 per person flat fee.
Oh, you
Basically, so our kind of, the way I market it, I know I mentioned 65th earlier, that's because we got a couple calls from bars out there. But the way we're marketing it and the way we're looking at it is Hingetown to about CSU. And $10 flat rate. We don't surge. That's part of what we're talking about, things that we're pushing, is we don't surge price, $10 flat rate for anywhere in the downtown area.
Okay.
Hingetown to CSU.
Okay, thank you. Young lady, you had a question? You had no comment, okay. Okay, I have down Councilman Starr, I have Councilman Casey. Anyone else would like to ask questions? Okay, we'll start Councilman Starr.
No, thank you, Chair. Just a couple questions. I want to make sure I have clarifications on the answer. So for this ordinance 1215, this is being able to change the codified ordinance to be able to allow the usage of golf carts to travel on our actual streets and be certified on streets that's 35 miles per hour or lower, correct? Through the chair?
Whoever can answer that?
To the councilman through the chair, that's correct, provided they are related to a business purpose.
To a business purpose. And then through that being related to the business purposes, they have to be registered with the city or the state? Or how's that?
They have to be registered and titled with the state, just like any vehicle. They also have to go through an inspection with the city led by the Bureau of Traffic.
And the sole purpose of this is to be able to provide transportation support to individuals who may be in a certain area where they need some support to get from a long distance with their car. I heard through the chair, I heard the 2 gentlemen speak about the Browns game or something like that, or the Cavs game. So if I parked on East 17th, right, or in Prospect, and I wanted to get to the Rocket Mortgage, I would be able to then reach out to the golf cart company, and they would be able to assist me with a $10, $15 ride through the chair?
To the councilman through the chair, I'll defer to them on the specific business models. The overall goal of the ordinance is to provide mobility options and support small businesses in the city.
Okay.
That is correct, sir.
Yep, and through the chair, to our planning director, have we had any conversations with individuals who have other businesses, such as garages and locations that's in the city? Because me hearing this model, if I'm someone who have a parking garage and I have a rate, and I know Commissioner Scott, I think, have they weighed in on this different changes that can actually happen with this ordinance? Because if we have businesses in place that got parking garage and they charge a rate already that is closer to the arena, does this affect them? Because if I'm an individual, say, instead of me paying $50 to park right in walking distance, I might park a little farther where I may not have to pay but $10, $20, and then actually know I just paid the $10 to get there, so therefore there's a difference of change of $20 that I save. How does that affect individuals who do have parking garages as well as other locations that the city get money off of that we generate money from? How does that affect them? Through the chair, do we did any assessments of that?
Director?
To the councilman through the chair, we try not to get involved in individual business decisions or price setting. For that reason, we're not involved in the rate setting of the business or anything like that. This is really around just providing opportunity for additional business activity.
And through the chair then, to the to the table, or anyone at the table, how much money do the city generate off this type of services being added? Do we get a cost? Do we get a fee? Do we get anything for adding this type of services to the city?
Director?
To the councilman through the chair, there's a $150 per vehicle inspection fee that Bureau of Traffic will assess as the golf carts come in. The legislation also authorizes the director that the Director of Public Safety may charge a fee for pickup and drop-off zones in an amount to be determined by the Board of Control. So for example, if there were pickup or drop-off areas along the curb, valet is maybe an analogy here, we could assess fees based on utilization there if we took that through Board of Control.
Thank you. And through the chair, if we assess fees, how would that actually operate? How do you, because one, I see the $100 and $150 inspection fee. How often do these fees has to be paid?
There's an annual inspection.
So annual inspection of $150. So if a business owner have 10 golf carts, they would pay that $150 every year.
That's
And
right.
then, do the city get any revenue from that total cost? Or that goes straight to the state?
No, that's a city fee.
That's a city fee. Okay, and then from there, operating, if I have 10 golf carts and I'm utilizing services throughout all different portions of events happening downtown, events happening throughout the city or other locations, I know y'all heard near West Side, how do we actually calculate how much money is somebody per individual may be utilizing if we're talking about a curbside fee or anything like that? I don't see how that works.
Sure, so I'll provide an example and would also invite colleagues if there are, I know carriages have specific pickup and drop off, if there's analogies in other systems we have. But one example could be, Browns games have come up, say that, Bureau of Traffic restricts access at Lakeside right here.
Yes.
So say a drop-off at Willard Park is a designated drop-off point at Browns games for golf carts. The city could, by the director's action going through Board of Control, could say, golf cart concierge, you have a $5 drop-off fee per load that you drop off at this designated drop-off location.
And then through the chair, how would you monitor that fee?
It could be in person. It could also be, we're currently researching, and I know this committee has been talking about different camera-related technologies. There are ways that you can mount a camera at the designated drop-off location. It can read the license plates and keep a video assessment of that.
Okay,
The ordinance at this point just creates the opportunity for that. It doesn't set in place any of that because there are these supporting tools that would need to be in place.
All right, and through that standpoint, I think we're starting to bake this. I think we got to really look into this because if I'm corrected and reminded, I'm trying to remember the total amount of parking garages the city own. Do anyone at the table got that number, or can I put that to our staff to see how many actual parking garages in downtown near on West Side do the city actually own and how we generate revenue off that? Because I understand what we're trying to do, but I want to make sure it is not something that is going to jeopardize some of the revenue that we are generating from different venues that we have, sporting events, entertainment events that we get revenue from, because people are now reluctant to park closer to the venue as opposed to what they're currently do. Because if we have this model set up, and everyone noticed like, hey, parking sometimes goes up to 50, 60 bucks. And depending on the entertainment for the night, it may be 80 to 100 bucks. I remember last year we passed the ordinance and we gave the rates to adjust accordingly to the commissioner to be able to make those decisions for the parking garages. And now we're saying, okay, now we're going to implement golf carts in place to help with transportation. If I'm an individual who live near here, instead of me parking my car in the garage, I might as well park on East 30th. You know, I might be able to park on East 22nd Street, and then I can be able to call a golf cart, and for $10, I can come on down and then take $10 and go back. So therefore, that $80 that I possibly would have paid became $60 loss, well, completely $80 loss on the city, and the person saved $60. And that, you know, those are things that I look at too when I'm just looking at the overall of this ordinance that's been brought to us. So I don't know how we can make sense of this, and then also me not seeing anything that shows that the city is going to recoup any funding or revenue from this model currently. That's what we have here is something that I am cautious about. So through the chair, anybody to the table want to respond to it?
Yeah, I would like to respond to that.
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
whereas
Through
you're
the
losing
chair.
revenue in the direct downtown area,
Through
you're all,
through the chair, sir.
I'm sorry, to the chair. I'm sorry, sir, to the
That's
chair. To the through the chair to the councilman.
Yes.
Where you're losing revenue up front to these lots that are right around the, say, the stadium, you're also gaining it to the other lots that are further out, right? So these lots that are 10, 12 blocks away are now going to be more populated. You're going to have more people paying for those. So while you're losing an $80 fee, you might have 8 to 10 people that are using those lots that are further away for $15 to $20. So you actually, there could be a net gain there. I don't know the specifics. I don't know the numbers, but you actually might see a net gain to that. It's very possible because of the outskirt lots.
Yep, and through that,
Yes.
and just for clarification, I do not think this ideal is the worst ideal or nothing like that. I'm not saying it from that standpoint. I'm just having open-minded of what we're actually doing and what we're passing. And then also, do we know from the table, do we know any other cities that actually have this model and they're operating?
Who can
Similar to cities like similar to Cleveland. To the chair?
Who can answer?
To the councilman through the chair, I'll start and then hand it off to Commissioner Holmes. To first address more your concern about parking lot revenue, I mean, we already have several options for folks who are interested in parking further out. We have our bike and scooter share, we have RTA buses, we have Uber, we have your own 2 feet. There are a lot of options there. This just sort of adds one more to that. And so I don't expect a massive market shift.
Okay.
I think this just adds an additional suite, not to mention that this is a job creation. You know, this is small business supportive. There will be jobs, taxes paid, et cetera, et cetera. In terms of other cities, in drafting this, we worked closely with the city of Columbus, as well as looking with smaller Ohio communities that have a lot more golf cart use, such as some of our lakeshore communities. And I'll pass it off to Commissioner if he wants to
Commissioner?
say anything more.
Yes, we had our folks back at the traffic unit reach out to a bunch of different cities. I want to say Cincinnati may have had this as well. However, my biggest concern going forward was how many accidents, and were they fatal, were they serious? The folks down at Columbus, their traffic unit said there had been no fatal accidents with these. That was really my sticking point with the director. I pushed back on some things, but I don't look at it as just as like a ride share type thing. Like if I own a business and I wanted to deliver sandwiches to an apartment building or something like that, like this is an all-encompassing, and it's a growth of what we started with the scooters and the electric bikes. And you can ask the director, I was really never a big fan of the scooters and the electric bikes. But I've kind of come over to the dark side, as I always tell her. I think, you know, with less congestion, less cars that have to be, less bicycles, that, you know, these things are a little bit more visible. We have commercial vehicle folks that have gone through training to be able to inspect trucks. These are the folks that are going to inspect the golf carts. So,
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yes,
I'll wrap
Councilman.
up. And I'll wrap up, Chair. My last point is, I know you alluded to cities in Ohio such as Cincinnati and Columbus who have this model. And do we have any pros and cons of those different reports of what they've seen and things that they have that we can share so we can look at it as well as a council? Also, in addition, some research I did. I know Peachtree down in Georgia, that city has this model. Sun City in Arizona has this model. Lady Lake in Florida has this model. And there's a couple cities in Texas have this model as well. And then Ocean Isles Beach in North Carolina has this model. Have we done any research from them to be able to understand why they have this model? What does their city look like? What type of way they operate? How beneficial it is for them? Just so we can say that we do have enough support and evidence of why this is a good approach to map, through the chair.
To the councilman through the chair, as a native Georgian, Peachtree City is famous for golf cart use. Many of those communities are a little bit different than what we're proposing here because they do allow individuals to use golf carts. So you see a much higher volume. It's not associated with the business purpose, the registered drivers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little bit apples to oranges when you look at some of those other examples nationwide. Because this ordinance, as the commissioner mentioned in passing, the state of Ohio has some basic laws in place for golf cart or underspeed vehicle utilization. It also requires local municipalities like us to pass something like the ordinance that's in front of you in order to allow them to operate on our streets. So for that reason, we felt like the big cities in Ohio were sort of the best analogy for us. I'm not aware of any published reports, but we did reach out to the folks that are on the ground enforcing and implementing, and to Commissioner's point, there were no real concerns that they raised that they've experienced.
Yeah, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I go on, Councilman Casey, are both of your, where are your businesses located at?
Sorry. I'm located in Old Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I live in Parma Heights, but my cart is stored in Tremont area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the cart, is your physical business in the city of Cleveland, or is it?
No, it's just my home address.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Let me see what other question I had here before I go on to Councilman Casey. On the cart itself, you indicated they're electric. How long can you operate that vehicle? Time frame?
It's less time frame and more mileage. So for my carts, I get about 50 to 60 miles per charge.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Councilman Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to our presenters, is this ordinance just call for electric, or is it electric or gas?
To the councilman through the chair, it's not specific
Okay.
as to fuel type.
And is this, who defines or what defines a golf cart, right? Because we have Cocoa Boxers or Cocoa Coupes that people say that they're golf carts, but they're really small, very small cars or whatever. I mean, are we defining what a golf cart actually is?
Yes, to the councilman through the chair, that's one of the things that is in Ohio Revised Code. It defines different types of vehicles. This ordinance specifically speaks to underspeed vehicles that are defined in section 4501.01XX of the Ohio Revised Code. And I can read the definition if you would like.
Is it in this ordinance? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it will be included in our update to the codified ordinances in section 401.711.
Okay. And just like, Mr. Chairman, to the other side of the table, just like at the airport, we restricted Uber drivers, and you have to plan ahead, and there's a lot that you have to use. We don't have any of that for this, so there's a potential that, suppose we had 100 new companies come in and open up, right? And on game day, 100 new companies are operating in the city of Cleveland, and they all have 10 golf carts, and we've got thousands of golf carts hanging out in front of Tower City, 1,000 hanging out just south of Lakeside. Are we managing this? Are we restricting this? I mean, there's a potential here where we could have thousands of new golf carts on event days in the city of Cleveland that, are, I don't want to say a street takeover, but are taking over our streets where regular vehicles won't be able to get through the streets because we have so many golf carts.
Through the chair, Councilman, great point. That's actually through the ordinance in section 45005 that gives the Director of Public Safety the ability to restrict those areas. So I can create a restricted area map or service map for the golf carts.
And Mr. Chairman, then to the Director, are you going to restrict the areas, at least specific to game days?
through the chair to Councilman Casey, we will take all of that under consideration. I'll talk obviously with the traffic commissioner and his folks. They're the experts, so we'll take all of that under
All right,
consideration.
let's ask the commissioner then. Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, are we going to, I mean, because currently right now, the ordinance doesn't have that in it, right? But if something happens, Commissioner?
Did you want to?
The ordinance now, or the amendment rather, will allow us or allow me to restrict the area.
Right, but Mr. Chairman, to the director, with all due respect, we don't have that right now. It allows you in the future, but we're not having that now. We could wake up this Sunday, right, for a home game, no, next Sunday, for a home game, give them a week. And all of a sudden, we could have vehicles inspected, okay, by the end of the year, whatever, by the time they go through the process, but we're not restricting, there could be 40, 30 companies come in here, and because it's new to the city, and we have a big convention, we got Special Olympics coming to town, right, in 2030, right? So we know that we're going to need an overabundance of ways to get individuals around the city. So what's going to stop us from having 3,000 golf carts on the, downtown Cleveland? And with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, to the director, I know that this allows you to potentially do that, but we're not putting anything in place right now.
Through the
To the
chair,
commissioner.
to the councilman, we restrict people anyways. Right now with our Browns traffic plan, nobody gets north of Lakeside, nobody on West 3rd and West 9th. We got the convoys of people down there coming out of the Muni lot with our scooters and stuff like that. Specifically, we have, you can't be south of Euclid or north of this area. If we had 1,000 golf carts come in, we're not going to be able to inspect that many. I'm just going to throw that out there. Even if we did, they are subject to the same traffic laws, just like a bicycle would be. We don't restrict bicycles anywhere in the city. So they will follow rules of the road. They don't do it. We have the ability to tow, impound it, and then the director, I keep wanting to say Callie, but it's the director and I, we talked about ways of, hey, if this becomes a problem, your permit's going to get revoked. So with the addition of maybe the names on the carts, we will, hey, we have a list. We will enforce that, believe me.
All right, and Mr. Chairman, to direct, I have the same problem. The director, why stop at businesses? Why don't we open up this opportunity to, listen, I get 1,000 calls a day, right? And I'm constantly bebopping around my ward. How much easier would it be to just jump into a golf cart, and head over 2 streets as opposed to getting in my car and doing exactly what your department doesn't want us to do with all the driving, right? And why can't we open this up to regular transportation throughout the city?
To the councilman through the chair, I still think an e-bike is a great
I
solution
won't
for you.
disagree,
I'm
but
teasing.
we're not talking
I'm
about
teasing you.
e-bikes now.
To the councilman through the chair, you raised 2 sort of separate concerns, right? One is an influx and a flooding in, and the other is a concern about the current restriction. We know that this is a new thing in the city. We can't foresee exactly what the demand will be or what the influx will be. The ordinance is written in a way that provides a lot of control from a public safety perspective to the Department of Public Safety to tailor our response and our regulations based on the dynamics that emerge as this starts. So in conversation with the businesses, with planning, with public safety, we felt like this was a very good introduction of golf carts to our streets. There are obviously scaling issues with number of inspections. There are authorized driver issues. If anyone can have a golf cart out on the street, this is a good way to begin, to see what emerges, to see what the interest is like. And, codified ordinances can be changed, right? We can always come back in partnership with council to open it wider if we feel that that's in the interest. But this is a way to enable the business activity that there's a demand for, while giving authority to restrict and maintain public safety should it be needed if there is an influx, if we see things getting out of control, et cetera.
Okay.
You can always get on your legal dirt bike or ATV and ride around.
They ain't going to stop me doing that either.
There we go. Right.
Commissioner?
Right.
Through the chair to the councilman. In our discussions with the director, what we didn't want was these to be in the neighborhood in mass, just like a street takeover. So this was a way to introduce this, and if, as the director said, the need, just kind of expand it or extrapolate it out, then we could come back through the director with council and change it that way. That was a big concern of mine, was people are going to say, oh, this ATV is a dirt bike, or it doesn't go 20 miles an hour. So that was really the concern on the safety perspective, is I didn't want people to come in and say, well, these don't go 35, and they just take over the street, and we can't do anything about it. So that was a way to kind of introduce it and still have some control over it.
All right, so my last point then, Mr. Chairman, to the other side of the table. So with this legislation, there's absolutely nothing that would stop me from establishing a business downstate, BK vehicles, whatever it is, taking my vehicle, purchasing a golf cart, sending it over to the commissioner to get inspected, paying my $150 a year fee, but you can't tell me that I couldn't use it just to bebop around the neighborhood, because you can't tell me how to run my business, right? I mean, that could be a way around it. So how I run my business is not in the ordinance, because I'm transporting myself, and I'm just saying, so there could potentially be a way around this, because my business, my new business adventure isn't profitable, I still have the ability to bebop around the city under the auspice that I have a business, and Commissioner Holmes has inspected it, and I paid my fee. Correct?
To the councilman through the chair, if you have a certificate of good standing with the state of Ohio from the Secretary of State, then yes, that is what we're using as an indication
Right.
for the police of business
Right,
activity.
it doesn't say how I have to operate, it just says that I just need my certificate, correct?
A certificate of good standing is required as part of the
Right.
vehicle inspection
Okay,
application.
which we know how easy those are to get. All right, they are. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. My question is similar to what Councilman Casey just stated about, here it says that vehicles to provide short-distance ride shares and touring opportunity in downtown Cleveland and surrounding neighborhoods. So those surrounding neighborhoods, would be chair to the two gentlemen that has the golf carts per se, where the surrounding neighborhoods, will be downtown or and or if someone want to be taken somewhere else on touring, a venture, would that be out of the downtown area per se and maybe into the neighborhoods? As you stated, you have Tremont, Ohio City, what's the other area you said that you?
Detroit, sure.
Hingetown. Detroit, right. So, stating that, what other surrounding neighborhoods, that you would be touring, in the golf carts? Chair to
Yes.
has the business.
Gentlemen, could you care to answer, if you can?
Okay, Chair to the Councilwoman. Yes, I do tour all through Tremont, so it's in the neighborhoods, and also through downtown and Ohio City. That is the business model that I have right now. It's similar to the business model I used when I was giving tours on bicycles. The reason I picked those three areas is those are the areas that most people are interested in. There's a lot of history there, old churches or old buildings, architecture, different things. Of course, our new lakefront with all the Science Center, Rock Hall, and Stadium, and that thing. And I have done some special tours in the past, like University Circle. I'm not just pigeonholed to the west side. It just happens to be that's what most people want to see because they're up-and-coming areas, Tremont, Ohio City. But yeah, it does go through the neighborhoods, but I have mapped out routes that are available for you guys to look at. It shows exactly where I go.
Yeah.
So.
Council lady? Oh,
To the chair, to the council person. So I don't have any mapped out routes like Bob, but like I said, I'm mostly Hingetown to CSU. We have had requests from folks that are out as far as West 65th down Detroit. The one thing we want to keep in mind though is we're only doing 20 miles an hour on a golf cart. So a ride out anywhere to the outskirts is going to take anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. So most times it's not feasible for us to get to the outskirt neighborhoods of Cleveland. It just doesn't make sense from a financial perspective or from a battery usage perspective. So that's also why we kind of say the downtown area, because it just doesn't make sense for us to get any further than, say, Hingetown to CSU. Would there be a call maybe for somebody that wanted to ride here and there from a neighborhood? Probably to a Browns game or a Cavs game, but the bulk of it would just be the downtown area.
That's a good question, because by you saying surrounding neighborhoods, say, say per se someone want to go out of the downtown neighborhood, want to not go to the west side. Say if someone wants to go farther out to the east side, would that be part of your agenda, a package to travel outside, further out to the east side per se? If someone wants to just, arbitrarily say, I want to go to University Circle, I want to go further out to the East Lake, would you go that far out or just stay in the downtown surrounding neighborhoods per se? I'm just giving a hypothetical question, because you might, Chair, to the two gentlemen, you might get that from somebody who want to tour outside of the downtown and surrounding neighborhoods. So do you have, an agenda package of your route and how far you would travel? And also second question is, will you be traveling in the traffic lanes of downtown per se, and not like off of the traffic lanes, since you're going to be going a certain amount of speed? Chair, to the two gentlemen.
Whoever can answer.
Yes, Chair, to the councilwoman. Yes, so I have specific routes on my website that tours that you take. Like one of them is called the Best Location in the Nation tour, which is of downtown Cleveland, and it's specific to downtown Cleveland. And the other one is called the Neighborhood Tours, and that's specific to Tremont, Ohio City, and downtown. Now, in my past, when I did bicycle tours, I did at some point add tours of the University Circle area, as a lot of people were interested in the museums and the history in that area. But at present time, those are the two tours that I have. But no, same as Chris mentioned, it doesn't make any feasible sense to go more than 4 or 5 miles from downtown, because of it's not profitable. And then we both have electric carts, so you have to be mindful of how far you're going in case you have more than a tour in a day, because you can't stop to recharge or anything. But that's basically what my model is. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay, mine is very similar. It just doesn't make sense for us to go much further than East 30th to say West 30th, right? Because of the batteries. It would take me from say Hingetown to University Circle, probably take 45 minutes on a golf cart to go one way, right? Because you're only doing 20 miles an hour. I think the ordinance does mention that we'll be on city streets as well. So yes, we will be on regular city streets. None of the streets in Cleveland are zoned above 25. So we're doing 20, I think, is comparable to 25 miles an hour. So, we're safe. We're on the city streets just like cars.
Okay,
Any
thank
other
you, Chair.
questions, Council Lady?
That's it.
Okay, let's try to make some heads or tails. So we know we have 2 operators right now that have been identified. Is there any restriction as to how many can apply? How many other operators can apply?
To the chair, at this point, there is no restriction. The director, under the authority to create rules and regulations, could
Right.
put a cap on those. I will say, in addition to these 2 gentlemen, we've heard from Downtown Cleveland Incorporated that uses golf carts for their service, and that's the 3rd potential user that we're aware of through this process. It does create opportunities for other businesses that might want to serve other areas, or the same, to also start businesses and do that
Okay.
activity.
And so I'm just trying to get some understanding. So there's no restriction as pertains to the number of operators who come on, as long as they meet the requirements. under the legislation. $150 fine must meet all the requirements as it pertains to the vehicle itself, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The commissioner mentioned that golf carts cannot go north of Lakeside. These gentlemen indicated that they might haul people from the Muni lot to the still present Brown Stadium. How, they're allowed to go past 9th Street?
I'm sorry, sir, to the chair. Less 9th Street, or less Muni lot. We don't really service Muni lot because they're right there. And
Okay,
they're walking.
okay.
I'm talking about like the pit, or if you're down in the flats.
Okay.
Or if you're on East 12th somewhere, Yeah,
Okay.
we certainly don't go to, Muni lot is not somewhere we want to be.
So golf carts would, to the commissioner, would be restricted where around the Brown Stadium, present Brown Stadium?
Right now, if you were on East 9th Street, you couldn't get north of Lakeside.
Okay.
Now, Chairman. I will-
Unless you were on a bike, a regular bike.
Right. Now, I will say that once this is implemented and we see, hey, maybe we let them north of Willard Garage and that's it. What I'm concerned about is the amount of people on both West 3rd and East 9th Street. Now,
Okay.
you can go all the way to St. Clair, cross over 55th, come down to North Marginal. You wouldn't be restricted that way.
Right, okay, I got you, okay. Okay, I would ask one of my colleagues to make an amendment motion to make sure that there must be identification on the cart. There must be clearly stated the name of the business on the cart. Are you going to require a number be placed on the vehicle?
To the chair, yes, they will have both a license plate like any other vehicle, as well as a sticker that has the inspection, the proof of inspection,
And is
annual
that
inspection.
with the sticker with the proof of inspection in here?
That is included,
Okay.
yes.
So I would ask one of my colleagues, make the motion as it pertains to the identification be placed on the cart itself, the name of the business.
I got you, Chair.
Thank you.
Please, I would like to make an amendment to ordinance number 1215-2025. You could possibly add this amendment under section 450.05. After city records, you can add, within the visibility and safety regards, all vehicles operated should have name of business, contact phone number, as well as email platform.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Thank you. The motion, there's been a motion made and seconded. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so the amendment to the Assistant Law Director, do you understand the amendment?
I believe so, yes. It's to require the display of the name of the business, the contact number and email address of that business as well.
Thank you. Thank you. To the two gentlemen that are here, how does somebody contact you to get a ride? Is it because you go to your website, but how else? If someone's out in the street, how do they get a hold of you?
So, yeah, we both have a website. I have a website. I also have an app, and then I have my website. You can text my phone directly.
Okay.
Yeah, I have several different avenues of
Okay,
contact.
I got you. Okay. So is there any further discussion? Without, and I will say this to the operators. We're going to monitor this. Sure. And I say to the administration as well, we're going to monitor this. So if we all of a sudden get a flood of operators and there's some issues, then we want to be able to have some dialogue here. Because the last thing we want to have is a bunch of folks flying around the city in these things and then have potential problems. Okay, so without objection, ordinance number 1215-2025, which is a substitute ordinance for number 808-2025, is approved as amended. Please sign it up. And to my colleagues, please don't leave for a moment because we want to get some updates here on a couple policies. Yes, okay.
Can I?
Yes,
can
yes,
I-
sir.
To the chair, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was wondering if council.
Listen up, everybody.
I'm sorry. I was wondering if council would consider waiving the third reading? No. So
No.
that, no?
No.
Okay,
no,
why,
no.
can I ask why?
Because, yeah, there's a.
Oh,
leg-
that's okay. I'm just trying to
yeah,
understand
yeah,
what's
no.
going on.
No, we have, I will say this again, listen up, everyone, please, for the viewing public and to you. We moved expeditiously when it came to us.
I'm not
Yeah, you know how
disputing
long
that.
this has been in discussion.
Sure, yeah.
I've heard this has been in discussion for God knows how long.
Yeah.
When it came to us, as I indicated, what I don't have in front of me, it came to us on September, I think it was 28th or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sorry. The reason I'm
Yeah.
asking is I know that sometimes you're
Right.
able to
Yeah.
not have that third reading.
No,
We're just,
we all,
would like
no,
to get
that's,
started.
that's our purview.
Yes, I
So
understand
again,
that. I just wanted to ask the question.
we're moving on, we moved on it expeditiously, and again, I thank you for your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys. Appreciate it.
The director's coming back. Listen up. We're going to hear update on the drones, comment on the pursuit policy, and then there's a growing concerns within the body about council members not being notified of very troubling and/or violent circumstances that have taken place in their wards as it pertains to notification. So we're going to try to get some clarification on that. So I think the director had to make a pit stop, I think. But we're going to get our folks to the table because we have some concerns here that we need.
I had a 16-year-old shot 2 weeks ago and a 17-year-old shot, and I still haven't gotten a call from law enforcement.
Okay, then I hope you're, yeah, I hope you're going to engage that. And so I myself am very, I'm concerned about the lack of notification of members of council when there's serious circumstances. And I'll wait to the director, and I was hoping the chief was going to be here, but I wonder why not. Is there any reason, Director, why the chief is not here today? Okay. Well, as soon as the administration comes back to the table, we're going to address these concerns or hear an update. Okay. Director, I was asked, is there a reason why the chief is not here today? Do we know?
Through the chair, she is tied up on another matter.
Okay.
I have Commander Mussel will
Okay.
sit in for her for relative to the drone update.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We'll get into the drone update. If you want to start there, or you have another?
Yeah, sure. We can start
Okay.
with that.
Okay, go ahead.
Commander Mussel is on the way back. He just had to step out as well.
Thank you.
And we'll have him. I'll start with the updates for the drone first responders relative to the Division of Fire.
Okay, well, let me just say this as for the viewing public. City Council, over 2 years ago, passed legislation to purchase and implement drones within the city of Cleveland. Obviously, we're greatly concerned that that did not take place, and it did not take place from what we've been explained because of the federal monitor had to review the process. And if what I'm saying is incorrect, please correct me. And then the Community Police Commission had to approve of the drones being implemented as well. So this has been over 2 years in the making, which has not made me a happy camper, because I thought the drones should have been up a long time ago to help facilitate the Cleveland Division of Police, Fire, EMS, but also as an added insurance policy for our citizens in our neighborhoods where there is issues of missing children, fires. We all name it. We see how drones are being utilized in other sections, other municipalities across not only the state of Ohio, but across the country. So, Director, the floor is yours.
Thank
Update.
you. Thank you, Chair, and to the other members. With me at the table is, to my left, is Commander Mussel. He'll speak specifically about the Division of Police and their drone program. I'll talk specifically about the Division of Fire and the drone first responders, and then to my right is Assistant Director
Thank you.
Schackner as well from my office. So I'll start off, and then I'll turn it over to Commander Mussel. I'll start off about the drone first responders program that we're envisioning out of the Division of Fire. It's in the initial stages. Right now, the planning stages to start our drone first responders program with Division of Fire. We're identifying pilots through the Division of Fire, identifying locations where they will operate out of this program. Also, where the drone itself, the model that we're using, will operate from. And what I mean by that, what location will the physical drone be placed? We're looking at a couple locations. Right now, our model that we're starting up with, and we'll have an evaluation phase before we extend the program to other parts of the city. So right now, it's in the downtown area. We're looking at placement of that particular drone, so we can cover the major highways, the lake. There are rescues that are conducted by the Division of Fire on the lakes and so forth. And this will give us the ability, or the Division of Fire, the ability to actually get a drone up in the air, respond to a call for service, and make an assessment, see whether or not we need to send several apparatuses to a particular incident. Also give us the ability, understanding flight restrictions from the FAA relative to our two airports, one obviously Burke and then Hopkins and so forth, but still giving us the ability to get the drone up in the air, get the drone to an assignment, make an assessment, see what type of apparatus or equipment we need to respond to a specific call for service, or if there's a fire, having the ability again to send a drone up to give an assessment for the firefighters, so they have a real-time bird's eye view of and situational awareness of what's transpiring, again, so they can make a plan of action to respond to that particular incident.
Could they be utilized for EMS as well?
True, Chair, absolutely. That is part of it. Let's say there's an accident on the highway, the drone goes up, you see the extent of the damage and so forth,
Right.
and also will give us the opportunity to get situational awareness to what the fire individuals as well as EMS employees are responding to. So yes,
do you have the units already?
we do not currently have. That's why it's in the early stages. We do not have the unit yet, but we are doing some of our background information work, rather, to again find out the best location for it. Get our pilots trained from the Division of Fire, the location that these individuals will work out of, and then purchasing the drones and getting them up and operational, and also making sure that we have the appropriate policies in place and the training associated with those policies. So we're still in the early stages.
So is there a time frame as to when you envision these being up?
Through the chair, I'd like to get them up by the end of the year. That's my goal, is to get them up by the end of the year.
Okay. Continue.
Sure, and again, that's just an update on the Drone First Responders program through the Division of Fire, and also applications for the Division of EMS. I'm going to turn it over now to Commander Mussel, who's going to get into more of the specifics of the Division of Police and their drone program.
Okay.
To the chair, the
Yes.
Division of Police currently owns and operates 9 Skydio X-10 drones. We have 9 trained pilots in command, PICs, and we have recently used drones for the Machine Gun Kelly concert in downtown, the Cleveland Guardians playoff games. Yesterday, the drone operators were called up for a missing juvenile. However, they were canceled because they found the juvenile. And as recent as this morning, the drone operator was called up to help a district with a fleeing suspect.
Okay. Where are the drones located?
They are centrally located, an easy spot, and that's operated 24 hours a day, that our drone operators can get to quickly.
Okay. Now, you know that some municipalities have various locations stationed. They have them stationed out at various locations so they can go up quicker. Some cities utilize their actual firehouses as command posts for drones because of their dynamic positioning. So we only have one prime location where they're flying out of?
To the chair, currently there's one location because the Skydio drones require constant updating and constant charging. So not only does the drone itself need to be updated and charged, but the battery pack and the controller. So we're keeping it in a location that's 24-hour, that's manned 24 hours, so that we can ensure they're ready to go for any reason.
And how long can they stay up?
I don't have that information from you, but I can get it for you.
I like it. And then what's the distance? Because if they're in the downtown area, Councilman Slife is extreme west side. I'm extreme northeast side. You have Lee Harvard, Mount Pleasant. You have Old Brooklyn. So you have the edge neighborhoods. Can we ever expect to see drones in our neighborhoods?
Oh, the drone call-up this morning was in the 4th District.
In what district?
The 4th District.
Okay. So what is the distance they can fly? Do we know?
I don't have that information.
Okay, and we're going to request that. We want to know how long they can stay up, the distance, because we want to make sure, because I also say that we have this reoccurring problem where we're looking for a dangerous dog, and we've seen what can happen when we have dangerous dogs or packs of dogs. So we can utilize them in this case as well to track where we're having these problems with animals.
To the chair, yes.
Okay. So 9 drones up now. How many people are trained?
We have 9 pilots in command trained.
Yeah.
We have the Division of Police, to the chair. We have applied for a Part 91, which will give us, if approved by the FAA, will give us the ability to have one instructor create more pilots.
Are the pilots, to the command, to the director, do the pilots have other responsibilities besides just operating drones?
Through the chair, that is correct. They do.
They do, okay. So we're not taking 9 officers like out of patrol duty?
That's correct.
Okay.
We're not.
Okay. Let me see what else we have here. The age of the drones are what? That was a concern with us, the fact, that they were sitting for 2 years. Are they still, what's the best word to use? They still, is their technology still up to date?
To the chair, yes. The drones are constantly updated through the area where they're kept, and they're flying perfectly well.
Do we have a requirement contract for maintenance on them? I mean, how are they maintained?
We do have a contract currently, and they're maintained by the drone operators that we have in the division.
Okay. Questions of the committee on Cleveland Police drones and on the first responder drones? So what you're telling us today, Director, we're going to have 2 drone components, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
One for fire, EMS, whatever. Could building and housing utilize them as well?
Through the chair, that's correct. If
Okay.
there was an application, we would use the Drone First Responders Program to help
Okay.
other departments. Yes, that's correct.
And then the police policy is governed or overseen by the federal monitor and CPC, correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay. Questions? Yes, Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. Are the drones up now, or when did they go up? Or when will they be up?
Through the chair, through Councilwoman Gray, the drones are up and operating now. As Commander Mussel just stated, they used them this morning in a situation as well. So yes, they're currently up and running.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What specific areas are they up now, Chair, to the Director? Any specific area around the city of Cleveland as Chair asked, per se?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, they're up like it was in the 4th district. I don't know exactly where in the 4th district now. So where there's a need, the officers or the pilots will get those drones up in those areas.
Okay.
So it's not restricted. Only where it's restricted is we have flight restriction through the FAA. Other than that, there are no restrictions where we'll send those particular drones.
Okay, and another question.
Yes.
I think this is awesome news. Due to, Director, as you aware of all of the throwback activity that we have on the weekends at Luke Easton Park, I'm going to put it out there like it should be, and the harassment calls that council and fourth district get with the drag racing, with the overwhelming of partying in the park at Zama George Rec Center on Sundays. Basically, it's every day of the week, and we know it's a public park. I'm not saying no one should have a good time in a public park. What I am stating is that the overwhelming calls that we get constantly every weekend or every day with partying in the parking lot, of drag racing, of the constant loud music, constant, practically every day. Thank goodness it's 7 o'clock. You know, it get dark at 7 o'clock now.
Yeah.
But by the 4th District and I get constant calls, especially on the weekends. Will the Jones be effective from those residents who can't take the constant drag racing, loud music, harassment on the weekends, you know, such in that manner? Can the Jones be directed to assist with that overwhelming a nuisance that the residents can't take it anymore?
Through the chair.
Chair to the director.
Yeah.
Through the chair to Councilwoman Gray. That's really a great question. I know you mentioned Lukista Park, and there's an issue. I know that you call relative to some of the complaints and issues.
email you too.
Yes, ma'am.
You would
So
too, God.
to answer your question, the drones can be used to assist the officers, their criminal activity. They're calling for criminal activity. Yes, the drones can give the officers a situational awareness, what's going on. If there's legal activity taking place, drag racing and such, then the drones can be used to, again, give the officers a situational awareness and also help them in hopefully identifying individuals involved in the illegal activity.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. That's a breath of fresh
Okay,
air.
thank
And I'm a consistent, listen, I'm a homeowner, I live in the neighborhood, and it's just so much a council person can assist with those type of activities every day and on the weekend. It's overwhelming how we need to understand how we can assist our residents in the neighborhood who can't bear a lot of that certain type of activity. We know it's a public park, but however, it's overwhelming for homeowners and you know, to deal with that constant 10 and 12 hours, maybe 15 hours a day, all day weekend. So I think that's, if they're listening, we got some help. We got some assistance. And also another thing, one more question, Chair,
Yes.
to the director. We had the conversation just the other day about the smoke shops. That
Do you want to
was
hold that for a moment? Because that would be like miscellaneous.
okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So, one thing, based on the council lady's comments, there was a time in the evening, nighttime, that we utilized the helicopters to fly over these parks and use their light to more or less say, it's time to go home. Are we still doing that at all in some of these areas?
Through the chair, we do utilize our helicopters for various functions. Currently, they're used for some of the issues we have on the near west side with the car break-ins.
Right.
Their details are set up right now utilizing our helicopters. So we utilize them in many ways as we can to assist the ground officers in effectively doing their
All
jobs.
I'm saying that we have the 2 helicopters, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we passed legislation, I know I passed that legislation to refurbish them. I just want to make sure that that was a very effective tool, flying into the parks, not landing, but above with the spotlight, and they still have the spotlight, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's time to go home, time to go home. I mean, because as the council lady indicated, council members are constantly besieged with quality of life issues, and we can't control that. We don't have the authority. We can't hire, we cannot fire, we cannot deploy, we can't administer. We're prohibited. But we're the ones getting the complaints. So again, I would hope that that same policy that we once had would be implemented. Are there any other questions on the drones before we move on? We have 2 other critical issues here. Okay. Pursuit policy.
Yeah.
Update us on the pursuit policy. We've had these high-speed chases and/or pursuits into the city of Cleveland, which have resulted in fatalities. There was one last week out of the city of Euclid, which resulted in a individual being killed on his way home from work. And I found out after the fact, I know his sister-in-law. His sister-in-law is a friend of mine. Just minding his own business, going home. I did see the video, so I can't even per se it was a high-speed pursuit, because at one point the vehicle on the Euclid dash cam, the vehicle, you could not even see the vehicle until the Euclid police arrived on the scene of the accident. So it wasn't one of these things where they're on the tail of the car, but nonetheless, it was a pursuit. And one of the things that was directed to me when I raised the question, and I've raised this question before to my honorable colleagues, that the city of Cleveland has a pursuit policy. And it's a well-detailed pursuit policy. But when the suburban communities cross our border, if they are a chartered city in the state of Ohio, they do not have to adhere to our pursuit policy. They adhere to their own pursuit policy, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And that's the challenge. And so, again, I've been talking to some folks on the county level. I've been talking to some people from some of the surrounding suburbs. I'm of the opinion there needs to be a county-wide pursuit policy. That's my opinion. And I'm pro-law enforcement. You all know that. But I'm constantly told that we have no control over this coming into our city. And the other thing that I found out that evening, that our CPD was never notified of the pursuit. I guess because maybe it happened quickly, but we were not notified of this pursuit. Yet we had helicopters up in the air in a different section of town. Could a helicopter been deployed to respond, to follow this vehicle? I don't know. I mean, this is all after the fact. And I'm not second guessing the Euclid Police Department, because from what they sent me, they received a call for shots being fired. And that's why they responded to the scene initially, and then which led to the pursuit. Shots being fired in their city, up on somewhere near 222 in the city of Euclid along St. Clair Avenue. So we all know these individuals who are driving these vehicles, and this one was stolen, I'm told, out of Streetsboro. They don't care. They have no respect, no concern. They're going to do their thing, but I'm concerned about safeguarding the men and women in law enforcement. But I'm also concerned about the innocent. This is the second loss of life on the northeast side due to a pursuit. And the lady who was killed approximately 2 years ago, I knew her. On 156 and Calcutta. I knew her. And I found about it after she was identified. On her way to church, she was killed. And again, that was another pursuit of a stolen vehicle. And I believe that might have been a carjacking, that one. So, Director, what's your thoughts? Can we somehow get together with our suburban counterparts, with our county officials, and come up with a county-wide pursuit policy?
Through the chair, council members, pursuits themselves are inherently dangerous.
I know.
And I know you're aware of that. And also these last unfortunate deaths involved in these high-speed pursuits did not involve Division of Police,
Right.
Cleveland Division of Police vehicles and officers. They were from either the county sheriff or other foreign agencies outside the city of Cleveland. But inherently, pursuits are dangerous.
Yes.
That's why here in the city of Cleveland we have a very restrictive policy.
Right.
It's a long policy, but it's vetted. It's, I believe, one of the better policies throughout the United States. that limit our pursuits. Doesn't stop our officers as long as they comply with the
Yes.
provisions of the policy to pursue those in violation, but it's very restrictive. Now, there have been talks in the past with the county sheriff department, county chiefs of police association to come up with some guidelines and recommendations relative to pursuits that enter into other jurisdictions, and those are recommendations. Each municipality is governed by their own policies that they have to adhere to. There's little that we can do besides getting folks together at the table like we're doing here to talk through it, see what we can do collectively to come up with recommendations for the municipalities to hopefully adhere to.
And going back what we discussed just a moment ago, it's one of the reasons why I lobbied so hard over the years to get the drones, because I thought the drones could be utilized to help cut down on the pursuits that we have. Because again, you can put them up and you can disengage and you can follow the suspects. But again, it's taken us over 2 years because of outside oversight and outside groups who had to sign off on this. But again, I'm like most people. We want the bad guys caught. We want the bad guys caught. But we've got to figure out how to minimize the carnage that we're seeing taking place. And innocent people, that could have been any of us. Could have been any of us at that location. And so I'm extremely troubled by it. I'm waiting to hear the funeral arrangements, because again, I know members of the family, and extremely troubling. And I'm hoping this individual who's driving the car is being charged with vehicular homicide. At least I'm hoping that's the case. Again, a stolen car out of Streetsboro, and look what it resulted in, loss of an innocent person's life for no reason. So I'm prepared, I just want to say, I'm prepared to be a part of any discussion, any gathering, any meeting with county officials, other suburban municipalities. I understand they're governed by the state. We can't control that. But I would like to think that some common sense can prevail here.
Sure, I think part of it too, to the chair, is to make sure that not only us but others are utilizing technology to their advantage.
Okay.
There are different technologies out there can help to reduce the number of pursuits that occur throughout the area here. Again, helicopters we have. Not all cities have the budget for helicopters. We have that. We have the drones now that we can utilize to assist us in other technologies.
Right.
So I think that's part of it when you're having conversations. And then having a very thorough policy to govern when officers can engage in pursuits, again, because like I stated before, they're inherently dangerous, and we certainly don't want to injure anyone, general public as well as our officers.
Okay, so that takes me into my next subject, and that is notification of council members of violent crimes, homicides, other deplorable acts that have taken place in the city. Councilman Casey had to go to another meeting, indicated he's had 2 homicides in his community within the last month. And there's been a lack of follow-up with him as it pertains to keeping him apprised of the investigation. I myself had a homicide a couple weeks ago at a convenient-type store. And again, I've received no follow-up on that. We all know this horrific report that was made on Facebook and on social media about a young lady, a young girl who was sexually assaulted, and there was no notification to the council person. That was not in my ward, it was a neighboring ward. There was no notification to the council person at the time. No notification to the council president, nor myself as chairman of the safety committee here. No notification to the council person where the young lady, where the mother and the young lady lived. We all learned about it. I learned about it from a local pastor who called me to tell me about it. Director, you and I have always had a good working relationship, but there's something broken here. There's got to be some notification to members of council, and there's not only that, but council members have to be updated on some of these violent crimes that have taken place. Because we're going to neighborhood meetings and people are saying, "What's going on?" And I can't tell them anything. I cannot tell them anything, and I'm upset about that. And my colleagues, all they're asking for, we know we can't administer. We're prohibited. I want to say that again to the viewing public. Council is prohibited from administering. But we need to be updated because we're the ones on the firing line. We're the ones that are getting these requests, and we're hearing the plea from our neighbors and our concerned constituents, and yet we have no information or lack of information to give them. So I don't know how you can, I don't expect you to be on the phone, but there's got to be something that's got to be fixed. And anyone want to chime in on that, be my guest. Councilman Slife.
I want to be very clear that I'm not addressing this to the two of you, but I will say that this administration's claim of transparency is laughable. It's propaganda. Council does not receive information. The media do not receive information. And Councilman Polensek is correct that there's a reasonable expectation in our communities that council members will have information, base level information about what's happening. So there is an open data portal. Quite frankly, it's useful to an extent, but it's also a bit overwhelming. So if there's a way that we can repatch this, I know that there are limitations.
Right.
I'm not disputing that there are limitations to what we can know, but it is not an acceptable answer to the people we serve when we get asked a question and we look like a bunch of deer in headlights. That's not helpful for anybody. But again, this is not directed to you all. This is a problem that is systemic across the entire organization. It's, I think, felt most prolifically when it comes to public safety just because of the emotional and physical elements to that cause people to react more to, say, a criminal incident versus a routine public records request.
Yes.
Through the chair.
Yes, Director.
Through the chair to council members. This administration prides itself on giving information. That's why we have the portals now that are available that folks can actually go on the portal and actually get information themselves. As far as public safety and some of the things that happen, some of the crimes are very horrific. We have martial law in place, restrict the information that we can give out relative to victims and so forth. So that restricts us in what we can give out to anyone, including council members. We have obviously the PIOs and the PIO and the Division of Police that part of their responsibility, as well as mine, is to make sure that we keep the council members informed of the incidents that's occurring in their respective areas. And part of that, too, is my commitment is to make sure that we have follow-up to those particular incidents. There are a lot of incidents that occur within the city of Cleveland. Some garner a lot of attention and some don't. And we do not make notification of every single incident that occur in the city of Cleveland in the respective wards because we would be on the phone with you all the time because of all the incidents that occur. But the major incidents, as you're aware, we make our very best effort to notify the council members, the council chair, as well as the council president on the incidents, as well as to follow up on those particular incidents. So we're doing our very best. The Division of Police, I know, are doing their very best to keep you apprised, updated, and if we need to improve on that, we will make every effort to improve on that.
Well, Director, I just want to say this. I don't expect you or your management team to apprise us of every reported criminal act. But again, I want to go back. Homicides, rapes, brutal assaults, shootings. The council person has to be made aware. I'm just telling you that. I mean, that's always been, I've always had that protocol in my working relationship with the Division of Police over the years. And we got to continue that.
Sure.
Because if not, it causes friction. It causes an adversarial relationship. And none of us want that here. And, you know, for all of us to find out about this young lady, this girl, which I'm appalled. I'm appalled by what I read that was put on Facebook, but none of us were notified of it. And I'm going to leave it at that because I know there's an ongoing investigation. Okay. Is there any other comment along those same lines? Councilman Starr.
No, just for full transparency, regarding the pursuits and the chases that's going on, I think we do have a responsibility as the city of Cleveland. Rather people have jurisdiction, whether it's the county or anything else, if they're traveling within the city of Cleveland, why are they not following the same laws that we have for our own law enforcement? What type of collaboration do we have in place to see that? Because we do need the help of the Sheriff's Department to help us with patrolling because the city of Cleveland is a part of Cuyahoga County. But within the same instance, the policies that we have as far as pursuit should still apply. Just because you're in a different part of a city, you should obey by the same rules as this. I'm sure if our officers is traveling, say for instance they got to go to Garfield for a new jail, they will still have to apply by those rules of the Garfield ordinance as well as ours. Can someone correct me through that just to understand what's the difference and what makes everything so difficult?
Through the chair to the council member Starr. I'm going to start and then I'll turn it over to Assistant Director Shackner, who will give more of the legal requirements of the different subdivisions. We are governed, when I say we, I mean the Division of Police are governed by our rules and our policies and our procedures. We are not governed by, to your example, if we're traveling to Garfield Heights, we're not governed by their rules and their policies, just our rules and our regulations. And same thing with Garfield, they're governed by their policies. As far as the pursuits are concerned, again, it's the same thing. They have their policies, they have their rules that they're governed to, that they have to abide by. We cannot restrict them in coming into our city if they're involved in a hot pursuit or pursuit of a felony vehicle, or even them coming into our jurisdiction, just like they cannot restrict us going into their respective jurisdiction as well. But I want AD Shackner to give you more of the legal reasons.
But just on that point, okay, they're governed by state law as we are governed by state law. But don't they have to notify us they're coming into our municipality?
Through the chair, yes, we would, yes, that's part of the, I don't know if it's necessarily a requirement, but it would be based on their policies to make sure they're notifying us so we know, or the respective jurisdiction know what's going on or what's coming towards them, so they can be prepared to potentially assist them in whatever they have going on.
Because I'm told in this most recent one that we didn't know about it until we came to the accident scene.
Through the chair, that's correct.
See, that's not acceptable.
To the
Councilman Starr.
Through the chair, council people. So there's not necessarily a legal requirement that you notify the jurisdiction that you're entering into.
Okay.
Like for instance, we have a protocol when we're providing mutual aid or we're entering another jurisdiction of what we have to do when we're entering. Other divisions of police likely also have a certain protocol. But again, that's not something that's criminal in nature or civil in nature that we can enforce. That's more of administrative would be subject to discipline if they did not follow their own policies in entering our city. In addition, the power of any municipal, whether we're municipality, political subdivision, whether they're chartered or not, is that you have control over your own municipality, your own area. Right. You cannot put restrictions on other political subdivisions, even when they're entering our. For example, there was a court case, I don't remember when, years ago, when our property, building and housing was putting certain permitting requirements and fees on CMHA. It was found we couldn't do that because they're their own political subdivision. All right, even though they are located within our city and have houses within our city and our buildings within our city, that there's certain things we cannot enforce upon them. Now, the Ohio Revised Code requires every police department or law enforcement agency to have a pursuit policy. All right. Now they're supposed to follow certain guidelines within the state. Specifically, they call out an Ohio Collaborative Community Police Advisory Board or similar law enforcement accrediting agency. So each department has to create their own. Now, what under state law they could actually chase for into other jurisdictions, there's a state law, Ohio Revised Code, that calls authority to arrest without a warrant or pursuit outside a jurisdiction. Now, if a law enforcement agency wants to pursue into another territory, there's 3 requirements. 1, the pursuit has to take place with unreasonable delay after an offense is committed. 2, the pursuit has to be initiated within their political subdivision.
Okay.
And 3, the offense has to be either a felony, a misdemeanor, the 1st or 2nd degree, or is a traffic offense where points are chargeable, which there's a whole list of traffic offenses where you could get points.
Okay.
And the thing is that we, under the Ohio Constitution, Article 18, Section 3, about municipal powers of local government, we could exercise all powers of local self-government within our limits, right? And as long as they're not in conflict with general laws, which is mostly has to do with what the state puts down. But even, let's say, even if it was permissible to require other jurisdictions to pursue our policy, there would be no real way to enforce that. Are we supposed to start pulling over Euclid police vehicles? Are we going to put spike strips down if they're going over certain speed, or they're chasing? Because we don't know what they're chasing for at the time. And I think the law recognizes that we have so many jurisdictions that you're going to may have to pass through a number of jurisdictions when you're in pursuit. And our venue statutes recognize that too, where you could try the case within any county of where the pursuit or where the crime is taking place if you're traveling by vehicle, especially in those flee and eludes or failure to comply. So it's just the only way you can. So, for example, there cannot be a county chase policy that everybody has to adhere to. Any pursuit policy has to be voluntarily agreed to. And again, the only cure for any violation of that policy is going to be discipline within that department. And one important thing to notice about policies and following policies, the policy is what protects, is one of the defenses against claims against qualified immunity if let's say someone sues a police department for pursuing and a death occurs. If they were within policy, that is a defense to them acting negligently inside of the fence.
So to the viewing public, and I'm going to call Councilman Starbuck, so to the viewing public, what you're telling us is that whether any of the suburbs that surround us, in any county that surrounds us, as if they are pursuing someone, once they cross the border of the city of Cleveland, they are governed by their pursuit policy and not ours.
Correct.
That's correct. And also state law. State law applies to why they're pursuing them and so forth. And I want to make sure we're clear here. We want to make sure that when folks are being chased into our jurisdiction, that they're adhering to their policies and certainly don't want any crashes or any innocent folks or police officers getting hurt in that process. So we want to make sure that these folks have common sense pursuit policies that's being adhered to. And I think it's important that we sit down with the county chiefs and so forth and come up with recommendations. And as A.D. Shack just said, they don't have to. It's not mandatory that they follow it. But if we're in agreement on some recommendations,
Yes.
I think that will help us. And
Thank
hopefully,
you. I hope that's the case. Councilman Starr.
Yes, thank you for that clarification, but something just seemed disconnected. So the actual pursuit policies are written and they are written by who? Who comes up with the different pursuit policies for each municipality or each city?
through the chair to the councilman, that's by the respective departments and their legal folks or their policy writers in their respective jurisdiction.
Okay, so therefore, their administrations, their municipalities come up with their different pursuit policies. Just for my record, I want to make sure I know. Offhand, I think Chair or anyone, do we know how many cities make up Cuyahoga County?
Through the chair, I want to say 50,
Yeah, somewhere around
57, 58, I believe.
Somewhere around there.
58. So we have around 58 cities to make up Cuyahoga County. I believe that I'm going to put in writing to the chair as well as to you all and the other 58 or the other 57 cities that's viewing. I think it's time for us to have a real sit down. And what I mean by that is we all need to get in line or something. This is not a small, big city. This is a Cuyahoga County initiative, and I believe us elected officials have to lead this charge to make sure we get some things in place. I do not believe any municipality, any elected official want to deal with pursuits where someone is ending up death has occurred or anything like that. But in order for us to figure this thing out, we have to work together. So each municipality, I'm assuming that or each city has their public safety committees. They also have their elected officials. I believe this is something that we need to pull together and lead the charge and say, hey, let's sit down and let's look at policy together to make sure we are in alignment, but also showing how do we make this courtesy calls, get on the same station, react, and let Cleveland Police know when they have something going on and they're patrolling. What that actually look like, so therefore we can all be in one alignment to be able to handle what things go on. Because one of the things that happen, it may start very well in Cleveland, but that does not mean that pursuit actually ends somewhere in Cleveland. It may end into another city where we should have all hands on deck to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on. Or we should be able to make a judgment call to say, hey, it was just a tail light. You know, get the license plate of the individual, pull it up and say, you know what, we're going to go and send somebody to that house in the wee hours of the night where we believe that car is listed at for us to be able to do it in a safe manner. Sometimes it's not the pursuit that needs to happen. Sometimes we need to just come back and be more thoughtful on how to be able to get the same results. So I definitely am going to put together a letter, Chairman, to you, and then reach out to some different other contacts of people we do know that has a safety committee, has things in place, and starting with Cuyahoga County Council, I think we all need to come to the table together and say, hey, let's look at policies and pursuit that we have in Cleveland. Let's look at what Cuyahoga Sheriff Department have, and then look at some of our surrounding suburbs, because you will see some similarities, but then you can see some different changes that they have and say, hey, how do we revisit to be all in one line and one accord to make sure that no matter what happens, either a police officer, sheriff, or anyone returns home safely, as well as the pedestrians and the citizens in each city, no matter how much we have to deal with this issues involving pursuits.
Good. And make sure the council president is in receipt
Yep,
of that as well.
definitely.
Okay. Are there any, just on this specific, Charlie?
Yeah, I
Council.
do have a couple questions
Yeah.
about
Go ahead.
pursuit, but just because I'm on a mild soapbox. Back on the transparency, I want to be very clear. My position is that the administration is selectively transparent and makes data readily available when they decide that it can be readily available. The problem is, just if you look at the charter, we the people, the representatives of the people, are represented by the same law department that gets to determine what information is and isn't available for public consumption. So when the law director determines that the administration does not want to make information available, the only recourse the people have, being us or anyone, is to go to court because we don't have our own attorney to go and lobby on our behalf and say, for example, that I believe that the law department is over applying Marcy's law and that there are opportunities where information can be shared without revealing the names of victims. In fact, historically, there were times when the brevity reports would come through and instead of saying Charles Slife, it would say white male and an address where it occurred. So if I were assaulted at the West Side Market, it could say, 2500 Lorraine Avenue and white male. That does not give any victim information. So I still think that there is a path through this. The problem is an over-application of the Marcy's law, for example, a unwillingness to find paths towards transparency and a lack of options for this body and others to forcefully cause a counter narrative to be considered in that decision-making process. That is not for the two people here to respond to. As it relates to the pursuits, humor me for a second. Could we pull over a Parma police car if the driver were not wearing a seatbelt?
Who could answer that?
I guess the source of the question is trying to understand the difference between a policy and a law. And Parma, and just picking on Parma because I just said Parma has a pollute policy. We have a pursuit policy. I'm trying to understand what pursuit laws are, and if that is state law, if we could be provided with that. Because if the answer is that everybody follows their policies, I'm wondering what the difference between a policy and a law is. Could a police officer from another jurisdiction be pulled over for violating a law in Cleveland, for example, not wearing a seatbelt?
Through the chair, you're talking about this is outside the pursuit, or you're just talking about in general?
Just generally.
In general, sure, anyone can, police officer or otherwise, they're citizens of the United States, and if they're in violation of a traffic law and law, they can be stopped and cited accordingly. Also, officers have discretion here in the city of Cleveland, so they can be cited or not. It just depends on the officer. So yes, if they're in violation of a city ordinance or a law, they can be stopped and the requisite enforcement action can be taken.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I would, and this is too big to answer now, but I would be curious to how state law would speak towards pursuits and if there's is there such thing as a pursuit law, or is our pursuits dictated by ORC? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not an attorney. I play one on TV.
I understand the way it's been explained to me that each city does not legislate their pursuit policy. It's a policy, an administrative policy. Am I correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. That's administrative policy.
Right.
And also through the pursuits, and the state law gives officers, I keep saying that, it's very hard to get out of that. The state law gives law enforcement officers, as long as they're acting within reason, the ability to, for example, go through a red light. If there's an emergency response and they have to use due cautions to go through lights or to speed, they have the ability to do that again with due caution.
Okay.
So also if there is a crash associated with a pursuit, here in the city of Cleveland, we have our accident investigation unit to respond, conduct their investigation, take all that information and present it to the prosecutor's office, who will decide whether or not there's any criminality involved in whoever may be involved in that pursuit.
So on this most recent one, I'll officially request, a report from the accident investigation unit as to what's their conclusion, because I have not received anything.
Through the chair, I can follow up with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes,
One more. I would be curious, understanding that other jurisdictions are held to their policy. There are police departments operating in the city that are non-governmental, like UCI, Cleveland Clinic. I'm curious if they are adherent to our policy through our MOU.
Yes.
And then I'm also curious. I'm curious if you could kind of expand on conversations with the county, because I understand that they have begun their own kind of pursuit policy. That in absence of our ability to compel it, how are things happening through relationships?
Through the chair to Councilman Slife, yes, the county, they are revising their policy, their pursuit policy, so they are doing it. And what was the first part, the second part?
About the MOU.
MOU, and actually, yes, and yeah, we do have we do have agencies operating within jurisdictions of the city of Cleveland, and they adhere to our policies. They have MOUs with us, and if they're not complying with the MOU, then we have the ability to restrict their police authorities.
Good. Okay, Councilwoman.
Chair,
Councilman.
to the director, due to the pursuit, when they just explain to the audience how and when of the question of a pursuit. Just say the police officer get a call, and or is it in the database saying that a car was reported stolen? Start from there so the audience can understand why the police officers are pursuing a stolen car when I know this is a catch-22 per se. It's a stolen car, and why per se the pursuit have to be so aggressive to chase a stolen car when a life or lives could be affected by the pursuit of a stolen car. Could you kind of elaborate on, since it's a stolen car and someone called it in, and then the police get the data, why do they have to pursue a stolen car when they know, not knowing, the outcome, could cause fatalities?
In this case, out of Euclid, from the police report that I read, they got a call of shots fired. That's what prompted them to go to that location.
Okay, but
Yeah.
however, when
Yeah.
there's no shots fired, and they have it in the database that someone called in and say, my car was stolen, and they get that particular license plate, the model and the make of the car, and when they see the car out there in the, driving around in the vicinity or whatever, the first thing they do is probably call it back in and say, we seen the stolen car, should we pursue it? Because it's a stolen car, it's kids in the car. So due to the pursuit, is there a law say that they have to pursue a stolen car?
Director?
Because now these incidents are causing fatalities. So if it's a stolen car, why do the pursuit have to be so aggressively?
Director?
Through the chair, Councilwoman Gray, I want to make sure we're clear that these pursuits that recently happened was not involving the City of Cleveland Division of Police members. So I want to make sure that we're
Hypothetical question.
just want to make sure we're clear with that. And our policy here in the City of Cleveland, our vehicle pursuit policy, which is about 17 pages, is very restrictive in what we can, I say we, the Division of Police members, can engage in. Generally, stolen car without anything else, just a straight stolen car, the City of Cleveland Division of Police will not pursue a stolen car.
Okay.
Okay, but could you repeat that? Because I'm kind of throwing me off on that. So you don't have to pursue a stolen car per se.
If it is a straight grand theft motor vehicle where it's not taken by gunpoint, which is an aggravated robbery or carjacking, that's the violent felony, then the officers can't pursue that, but there are other requirements. But if it's a straight grand theft motor vehicle or a stolen car, our officers will not pursue that particular vehicle. Again, the officers will make the attempt, because it's part of our responsibilities and duties, to stop that particular car. But if that particular car takes off, will fail to yield to the signal of an officer, their lights, their sirens. Again, if it's nothing else but a straight grand theft motor vehicle, our policies do not allow us to pursue that vehicle.
Oh, well,
Thank
I'm
you.
glad to know that, and I think that's because it's so much, because there've been so many fatalities, per se,
Yes.
during pursuit. Our audience, our residents, and myself need to understand
Yes.
the different types of pursuits
Yes.
of these cars that's been causing fatalities and also being wrecked. So thank you for that information.
Thank you.
But I
And
also
so-
want to just
okay.
add something because
Yes.
everyone else did this. I want to just echo what you said about the incident of the young lady, of the young child
Yes.
who had who just was
Assaulted, yes.
I want to just add that. I want to echo that because that if this is the same particular incident, I just got the call last night from President Councilman Griffin. He got the call from someone else, and I just happened to be out in the neighborhood dealing with other residents, and when he called me, he found out how close I was and am to that particular family, and he said the same thing as our chair, that we're not getting the information like we should, and since he's the president council, I am the council of that ward, and I'm really close to the family. Matter of fact, I went to school with the young lady's mother, so I'm over there not constantly, but I know them as not only as a friend, but as family of the friends of the family. And that was a shocker to me, not even knowing this. And I'll be honest with you, Director, Chair to Director, you normally call, or someone in your office would have called me and alert me to things of that nature prior to you guys coming and taking care of the incident. So when President Council gave me a call last night, I kind of was shocked, but I did kind of understood when I went to the house. The grandmother did explain why the incident was kind of on a private level because it happened prior to us even knowing that it even happened.
Yes.
But I do agree with my colleagues that we need to be better notified of these type of incidents so we can be there to consult the family, and the family wouldn't think that the council are not caring about any incidents that's happening, in our wards.
Thank you.
So I just want to say
Thank
that.
you, Council Lee. So we are finished with this. We just have a brief comment now on the status of the Cleveland Police Headquarters. Mark, identify yourself at the table. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Dulick. I am the manager of architecture and site development for capital projects.
So briefly tell us, where are we with the police headquarters?
Police headquarters, we're continuing to make progress on schedule. As everyone's aware, there are 3 components to the building. There's the Artcraft building, there's a Category 4 addition, which will contain the Real-Time Crime Center, the Fusion Center, and the garage for the command bus and communications trailer, and the parking garage. The parking garage is substantially complete for the garage itself. The elevators will be installed along with all the other elevators in both the Cat 4 addition and the main building.
Okay.
As you've probably seen going by on Superior on the freeway, the exterior of the building, the restoration has been substantially completed.
Okay.
There is a new roof on the building. The bulk of the work going on right now is the framing of the new interior walls within the Artcraft building and the installation of all the rough mechanicals, all the rough electricals, and all of the rough plumbing. As far as progress goes, the curbs and asphalt base coat, that work on the site, especially for the new visitor parking lot, is going to begin in October 13th. Hats off to CPP for completing the permanent power connection as expected by October 15th. This is really important because having that permanent power allows us to really install and test things like the elevators, the mechanical system. That's really important.
Okay.
They're also working with our energy partner, Corex, formerly known as Cleveland Thermal, to get the steam connection to the building so that all the construction that goes on over the winter will be able to utilize that for temporary heat instead of having to use gas heaters. So it's a great thing. Everybody's been working very hard to make this happen.
Okay.
For the Artcraft building, the scheduled substantial completion is mid-July, and the Cat 4 building, substantial completion is June 19th. That means the building will be able to be occupied. We are looking to complete the move-in of police operations into the headquarters, certainly before the end of the month of October in 2026.
Well, that's good news, because we do not want to continue to pay rent at the Justice Center. We've paid too much rent over there over the years. It's like cha-ching, been like a cash cow for our friends over at the county. And we want to get our men and women in blue and our support personnel into the new police headquarters as soon as possible. So keep us apprised of the work. I plan to go over sometime shortly for a tour. Anyone else who would like to go with me, let me know. And that's it then. Any other questions on police headquarters update? Without further ado, I would appreciate my colleagues who were here, appreciate the men and women of the administration who were here, director. The committee stands adjourned.
Thank you.